Hey, welcome back, everybody. It's time once again to meet our community, the Hispanic business community here in Orange County, powered by the Orange County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and Orange County's only community radio station with the man who's always out in the community, Mr. OC, John Gutierrez.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you once again, everybody, for tuning in to our community podcast show powered by the Orange County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. I'm your host, John Gutierrez, Senior Vice President here, and we have another great show for you today. Some good information with a special guest with us, Mr. Alex Rocky Kim. He's a mortgage lender, and I want to say specialist because this gentleman knows a lot about that industry with HomeFirst Mortgage Lenders, and he's also got his American Dream Team social media that he's got with his dream team here, actually, that you can't see right now. But welcome, Alex.
Wow, thank you. It's an honor to be here, John. Wow, this is cool. It's a very cool setup here.
Right?
Hey, John, before we go too far,
Yes.
this is a historic day. Because
Yes.
today we have Rocky and the Rocket.
That's right. That's right. Today we have Rocky and the Rocket. That's right. For those of you that don't know, that's his nickname, Rocky, and my nickname growing up was Rocket, playing football, which, by the way, I was at my son's first passing league yesterday, and he played against my alma mater, which is kind of awkward to be on the field watching your son playing your old high school, right? So that was pretty cool. But, you know, Alex, I want to say first and foremost, thank you for always being just a great leader in the community. You've been a part of some of our fundraisers. You've donated to our toy drive. You sponsored, of course, many times different events that we do. And I know you've been a long time supporter of everything we do with our OC Real Estate Committee, of course, with our friends Thomas and Felix, which now we do a monthly mixer with them. And I just want to say, you know, thank you for everything you're doing in the community because I know you're a guy with a good heart, man. So we really appreciate that.
Thank you for those kind words. You know, that's the least that we can do as entrepreneurs, business owners, and people who are trying to help bring some change, some positive change, and give back to the community. So thank you for the opportunity to participate and be a part of it.
Well, one of the things we like to do on the show is we'll get into all the fun stuff, of course, which is, you know, how you're helping small businesses, all the great solutions that we're going to talk about here shortly. Of course, your background in the mortgage industry. And of course, your American Dream Team, which is really cool what you got going on. But first and foremost, we would love to learn a little bit about you. Our listeners like to learn about who we have on the show. Can you share a little bit about yourself, maybe where you grew up? If you want to share a little bit about your family, your parents, how did you, get to this point in your life?
Sure. Well, I grew up, actually, I came to the U.S. when I was 2 years old. I think it was in the early 80s. And I grew up in Baltimore City, Maryland.
Okay.
And all I remember most of my life was growing up helping my mom at a small business. We had a beauty supply business, but it's kind of like a 7-Eleven where you have like everything. There's not just one product. And
Okay.
I remember being able to sell everything in that store since I was 7 years old. I remember that's all I did. Go to work or be at my mom's business,
Okay.
work, and then do homework, and then if I get bored, then I go to the front of the store and I help out with my mom.
So at an early age, that's pretty interesting. You are already in the front lines of a business. That's pretty cool.
Yes. I think that's truly where I learned and gained all of my business experience since I was young.
Do you remember any little story or specific moment of where, like, maybe you were, I don't know, observing your mother or somebody at the store that really impacted you?
Well, I do remember a couple scenarios. So one time, I was probably like closer to 12, a teenager, and I was at the cash register.
Okay.
And this one lady, I mean, it's Baltimore City's not like you're gonna have underserved community members there. So one lady, she was gathering some things, and I saw her put a nail polish in her pocket.
You
right?
you saw it
I
yourself.
saw it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I saw
Oh,
it, right? She's
that's a
going
tough
around.
position to be, right?
And yeah, so the way I handled that, my mom wasn't there. I rung everything up and I added that it was $1, right? Nail polish was $1 at the time, so I added the dollar, right? And I told her how much it was. So, let's say I said it was $12, and she said, "Why is it $12? This should be $11." Well, no, it's because of the nail polish that's in your pocket. I had to add that.
I love this
And
story.
that's how, she
love
was
it.
able to,
Wow.
admit to paying
I
for it.
love this story, right? Because you knew how to not create a
Conflict.
conflict
Yeah,
or awkward
and accuse
situation,
her. I
right?
didn't want to accuse her.
You don't want to accuse her.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
just automatically charged her the extra dollar. I just, this is a great story. I mean, you talk about solutions for small businesses. That is a great solution in itself. Now, is this something somebody taught you? It just kind of came to you that moment?
You know, if I think about it, I just don't like conflict because,
Okay.
I think growing up with my father was always a problem, kind of maker, and just that I just didn't want to be like that. I didn't want to be like him.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think for me, um, being able to resolve conflicts, kind of, calm the situation down and think of a way. So you have to kind of prepare for that, and think of ways to overcome that. There's always a way. There's always a way to avoid a conflict.
Would you say your mom is that kind of a
Yes,
person?
Yes, actually, you're right. Yeah,
Okay.
I owe it to my mom. Yeah.
I don't know if you guys noticed that, but I'm a sociology major, so studying human behavior and
Wow.
is important, right? And so you probably studied your father at one point, and then we're like, I don't want to be like that. But then you studied your mother, right? And you're like, wow, I really want to be more like this.
Wow.
Because I notice you all the time when you're speaking, you're always calm, you're very collective. I don't think I've ever seen you upset or angry. Like I've always seen you so calm. You know what I mean?
Well, I
And so
appreciate that,
is that
yeah.
is that your mom's?
That's not my norm. That's something I have to choose. That's not how I feel inside, but it's a choice that I'm making on the outside. So yeah.
So inside there's like a whole.
Oh, it's complete. I'm my dad on the inside, but I know I have to be like my mom on the outside.
Okay,
Yeah,
hey,
that's
that's
a choice.
what do they call that? Like the duck, right? Is that what they say? That he's like paddling under 100 miles an hour. Yes, Paul.
So somebody wants to know if that's true. If you're so calm, why the name Rocky? That doesn't sound calm.
Hey, Rocky was calm and collective at the end, right?
Well, there's actually a meaning behind that name.
Okay.
So the Rocky inspired by the movie, right?
Okay.
It goes back to the Gospels actually.
Mm.
Rock and key, translated is Petros, Cephas, Petros. When Jesus renamed Cephas Peter, he gave him that name because it literally means the rock and the key.
Wow.
The rock on which I'm going to build the church.
Yes,
Yeah, right.
that rock, and then you have.
Paul
I
knows
give
his
you the
stuff.
keys.
Way to go,
Good
Paul.
Irish Catholic. I know.
Irish Catholic,
Okay, yeah.
Notre Dame over here. Hardcore Catholic. Wow. So at a young age, I mean, I know I grew up. My mom always praying the rosary, and I always watch my mom pray. I'm a man who's always praying for my business, praying for my family. Right. My boy's playing football. I'm praying for him. Are you somebody at a young age, through your mom or through your some way somehow, you just became a man of faith? Would you say?
I grew up Catholic, so that's all I knew. But I don't think I realized like what that did for me. I mean, I prayed like any child would, right? Like, please get me out of this, this jail, this, H hole.
Yeah.
Growing up and praying for things but at a certain point, especially when I moved out here, I stopped praying. Yeah, I stopped praying and I kind of went off the rails.
Really?
Yeah, but then something happened. I had my son in 2015.
Kids will change you.
Yeah.
Kids change us,
I have
right?
3 daughters, but those 3 girls didn't change me, right? Like, I had them pretty young. But when I had my son, something like inside of me, I was speaking to myself, and it's like, this is your chance to be that father that you never had to your son.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that thought came,
Mm-hmm.
and then some years went by, and some things happened to me, bro, where I had to start praying every day because I realized who I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know how you feel, man. I was the same way. I've always said to people, I wanted to create financial freedom by building my business because I wanted to have more time as an adult parent to be around my boys, my kids, because unfortunately my dad, because of his situation being a landscape worker, he worked day and night, right? And he had extra side jobs. So he never could go to my football games. He never could go to any. And I was a pretty good football player. I mean, that's why they nicknamed me, Rocket. But it was hard for me to accept that as a kid growing up. Why isn't my dad at the games? Parents would always ask me that.
Yeah, yeah.
So as I always wanted that as an adult, let me have some freedom so I can be around my boys, my kids. And so I think sometimes growing up, right, we want what we basically, hopefully as a kid, wish we could have had, right?
Right.
So I can understand where you're coming from. So how did you end up in the mortgage industry? At what point did you enter the real estate industry growing up?
So, I don't look at myself as a mortgage guy. I look
Okay.
at myself as a sales guy because
Okay.
I've been selling stuff since I was 7 years old. Right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
when I came to California in 2002, I literally drove out here with my mom. My dad told me one day, "Hey, we have some problems. These people are after us," and so he was he has some gambling problems,
Oh, wow.
and he had some loan sharks that he was afraid of. So we literally,
Wow.
me, my mom, and my brother and my siblings, brother and sister, we drove out here with $500 with the Forerunner,
Wow.
and we just came straight to California. And I had
What
to
year
get a
was
job.
this?
This was 2002.
Okay.
So I had to get a job like to start making money. And there was a few different places I went to interview. There was Macy's. This is in Glendale, by the way. Macy's at the Glendale Galleria,
Yeah.
Toyota of Glendale,
Okay.
and then 24-Hour Fitness.
Okay.
I ended up taking 24-Hour Fitness because they said they'll give me an hourly plus commission. Wait, what? I can make commission as long as I work hard? It was the easiest thing in the world for me.
But from what I hear, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I have friends who worked at the gyms in sales, they really do a good job of training you in sales.
They're the best.
right?
I would say 24-Hour Fitness
Yeah.
used to have, I don't know if they do still,
Yeah.
but when it was Mark, I forgot the owner's last name, but the owner, he had an amazing training program. So
Yeah.
I got one of the best trainings
At a young age.
At a young age.
And
yes.
and you can't like that at a young age to learn that. People don't realize there's a lot of people that, like, they get thrown into sales, but if they don't get the proper training,
Right.
it's a whole different world once you get the training.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Wow, that's interesting. So at a young age, you were selling memberships, closing deals, making commission, right?
At 20 years old, I started just showing up in a suit every day. Everyone else was kind of in a uniform, different uniform, but showing up in a suit. And then I got promoted to what's called the Super Ultra Sport. They have one in Glendale.
Yeah.
And that's where someone recruited me into the mortgage industry. Yeah,
Nice.
so that was my transition.
Nice. And what was that like once you transitioned?
So I really didn't like mortgages at first.
For people that don't know, what is a mortgage or what is
Sure. A mortgage is a loan for someone who wants to purchase a home or, get money out of a home. You borrow money using a home as collateral. So that's what a mortgage is.
good? Thank you. I just, you never know. We have a lot of obviously business owners that view us and also our youth chambers. So I think it's important to explain what that is and how you view it because it's also a way of building wealth, right?
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's using debt to build equity. So a lot of people just look at the debt portion of it. But if you know how to, especially with inflation nowadays, if you actually take more debt right now, as long as the asset that you're purchasing with it over time, because of inflation, the amount of money that you pay back in the future is actually going to be worth less in future terms. Because $1 million that you borrow today, maybe 5 years from now, that $1 million is not going to buy you anything. So to pay back $1 million 5-10 years from now is going to feel like I'm only paying back 100,000.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So what did you learn? Is this what you learned in the mortgage? You ended up in this industry. Obviously, you were in sales before. What do you feel that it took you to another level?
So every time I'm trying to sell something, starting from mortgages. I didn't like it, so I got out of it. I went into credit repair. Then again, every time I tried to sell something, I would do my part. I would sell it. But there are so many times where the operations or the product or the service wasn't able to deliver what I wanted to sell on the front end, what I was telling people. So I could be telling people all these great things on the front end because that's what I was told. Hey, this is the great, product that we have or service. But then at the end of the day, I would always feel like I disappointed my clients. I did my job closing people, but then they didn't get the service or the product that I told them they would get. So I became a liar in many of these transactions. So over the years, over time, every time I was selling something, I learned, okay, well, what's the problem with this product? Why are they not able to deliver it? And I would just fix it. And then eventually I had to get to the point where I'm setting up my own company because you're still not able to deliver what I'm selling out there.
Okay. So would you say that this is where it prepared you for what you're doing today as far as how you're helping small businesses? Because this is pretty big what you're doing as far as how you're helping educate small businesses, how they can utilize these tools, right? To help themselves in their business.
Yeah, so after the pandemic, it was a big shock. I thought my business plans were rock solid. I was ready to retire, and then I realized, man, no business is rock solid at that point. Back in 2020. So I learned so much over the years that I didn't realize about money, how the financial system works. And especially with all the money that was being printed in 2020, 2021, 2022, and then just kind of seeing how the world is changing rapidly, I just felt that it was part of my calling and mission to get this information out there to, number one, small business owners. Because if we lose small business owners, if we lose that, then everything else is going to follow. Because the American dream, at the core, it's both small businesses and then real estate. Small businesses came first. That was the core. But we just kind of forgot about that because it was a given. And then real estate. So right now, if we are losing our small business ownership, we're going to lose the game as consumers. And then conglomerates and, I don't like to say stuff like this, but like big government and institutions are going to, take advantage of the little people.
And that's one of the reasons why, as a business owner myself for 15 years, I joined the chamber, right? I personally joined it because I wanted to learn from other mentors in the chamber that were business owners, and I wanted to learn from them. But more importantly, I learned at the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce that there's chambers everywhere, right? And I started, obviously, why is there chambers? Well, of course, the government wants more small businesses to open, because at the end of the day, the small businesses are paying taxes back to keep our economy running, right? So this is great that you've found this, I guess you could say, this passion or this love for helping small businesses. Can you share with us what are some examples of what you're doing with small businesses with your, obviously, your background and your skills?
Sure. So I'm a small business, so I can relate to every single small business out there. They all have to put a front right now like, oh, we're doing good with our business. I mean, you have to say that. But the reality is everyone doesn't understand. Many of us don't understand the new cost structure, because cost and inflation has just been, everything is unpredictable right now. So number one, you need access to capital. I mean, we all need access to more capital, and that is a lot easier than you think. You just have to know how to get it. And usually the government-backed loans through the banks are really easy to obtain. They're easy for a reason. When the government and the Federal Reserve is printing all this money, the way they print it, or the baked-in rule is we all are supposed to have access to it. So if we're not accessing it and using it to grow and to create more value, then we're losing out. So that's principle number one. Principle number two right now, technology is so cheap right now. So if we're not using, as small business owners, technology to cut our cost and be efficient, there's no way you can do the type of work that is needed. It used to be where you can make 5 phone calls, 7 phone calls, and you're gonna, get someone's attention. Right now, you have to time the phone calls. You have to do the follow up. You may have to figure out, do they want to be texted or emailed or phone calls. So all of this can be done now with AI at a very efficient cost. And then social media is how you can build relationships and share your story. You have to share your story. That's the benefit of being a small business owner. You have a personal brand that you can get out there. That's what's going to be interesting to people, and that's what people want to support. That's what the big conglomerates don't have. We have our own personal story that we can get out there. So with those three things, capital, technology, and the right story on social media, you could see a completely different business plan.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, Paul. Let me just real quick. I know Paul has a question, but one of the things that we always talk about at the chamber is how are we going to tell that story, right? Because we're constantly telling a different story for different areas of our chamber, right? And so I know you have your dream team here, right? American Dream Team, who is filming you and doing a lot of your social media, right? And you're right. I think that the more you tell the story in different segments, whether it's LinkedIn, whether it's Instagram and Facebook and now TikTok and all this, right? And live this and live that, it's like, you're right. It evens the playing field with the bigger companies,
Yes,
right? Wouldn't you say?
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's right now one thing that American Dream Team. So let me kind of share how that started, right? So as a mortgage lender, I'm trying to figure out how to get more loans for the company. So I thought of a strategy. Okay, well, why don't I help real estate agents get more business by helping them with their social media? So American Dream Team is in the same office as HomeFirst. We're in Irvine, California, and we have a social media studio where we film, we do all this content creation. Then we also have an actual storyline for everyone. And here's our storyline. Our mission is to promote health, wealth, and unity in our communities. So we can partner up with business owners to revive activities, engagement, using these technologies that I was talking about, and share each other's stories together. This right here is something that resonates with so many people. We, as the American Dream Team, get together every single morning at 5:05 in the morning for 1 hour, and we share and practice in this mission. We do a gratitude call every morning at 5 a.m. via Zoom, and we talk about our mission, and so many people have been joining this mission over the last 4 years.
That's awesome.
We haven't missed a day since May 31st, 2020.
That's awesome.
Today was day 1,495, by the way.
Keeping track.
Yeah.
Accountability. That's called accountability, right? That's so important. Paul, I think you had a question?
I did. I sit in this chair and listen to people come tell stories. A lot of big brands come through and tell the story here. And I find most people don't know how to tell a story. The story, I come in and say, you got a great story, right? Oh, the story is, I saw the problem, here's the solution. That's an ad. That's not a story. The story is the struggle. The story is the people. How did you get there? How did you pivot? How did you adapt? How did you do this? The passion of the people behind it, the people you're serving, all that. Why are we such lousy storytellers?
Because we don't want to share the negatives, the problems, the pains.
It's
my
true.
gosh. Like,
it's true.
For me, like, I have so much of that. I'm still going through.
I think there's a fear factor. That's what I tell people. There's a fear factor of how will we be judged?
Yes,
how will you be, by your peers judged?
Can't be honest, can't be vulnerable, can't admit you don't have all the answers, right?
Yes, it's tough as individuals to be vulnerable. I mean, you couldn't have said it any better, Paul. Is who wants to talk about the fact that, I built this business before the pandemic. We went through it. We're one of the small businesses that, we had almost 100 employees. We were doing great. Pandemic comes and kicks our butt. And now we're rebuilding, repivoting, restructuring our business. and you're like, well, you skipped an area there, John.
Yeah.
What happened? Tell me what happened.
Because that's what we learn. We
And
learn through struggle.
And
We
it's
learn
like,
through-
trust me,
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about what happened.
Right.
Because I believe that stress of the pandemic is where I was diagnosed with pre-diabetes because of the stress. So to your point, you're right. I love the fact that you're also incorporating, you said, the health part.
Health. Yeah.
Health
we
is so
start
important.
with health.
Yeah. Because we have to take care of ourselves, and the stress is what's killing us, I think, as business owners, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm glad that you've incorporated that part into what you're doing every day also, right?
All I know is when people get real, people really listen. If it's just another fake, phony, like so much of social media is supposed to be about being real, and it's all fake. Look at me.
Right,
Look at what I'm doing. Aren't I wonderful? I got this great
Yeah,
place
Paul,
in here.
but you have to remember, you're looking at it from a producer standpoint
I'm
on the
watching
outside.
it, yeah.
It'd be different if I sat here and then I started peeling the onion on you.
Yeah, probably.
And I said, I want you to talk about your problems at home with your wife.
Yeah.
And your father and your mother and your family. And then you're like, whoa, 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 whoa. It's
Yeah.
not that easy to open up because now we're getting personal.
Right.
Right? It's very hard for people to get personal about maybe the fight I had with my business partner or my wife or my
Yeah.
sister or whatever, whoever it is. Because nobody wants to put that out there, right?
But isn't that the power of connection and communities like the Hispanic Chamber where you really get to know people? If you just show up at a mixer and you say, here's my card, everything's great. How are you doing? I'm great. How are you doing? I'm great. Everybody says, why are we here? We're here to learn from each other. We're here to get real and to support each
Well,
other.
let's ask Alex that. What do you find in your daily or whenever it is that you're having? What do you find that people appreciate of it that now that you're doing this?
Yeah, so I mean, it all starts with the morning call, because in that morning call, that's exactly what we're doing. But the commitment is to always do better. That it has to start with that. If that commitment is there, then we're messing up every day. So every morning we come on that call, we are all sharing about how I messed up, how I am a failure, how I am a sinner. And when we do that, we're okay with it because we already committed to becoming better every day. And when I'm sharing that kind of stuff with other small business owners about my cash flow issues, my problems with, managing our team and leading my team, then other business owners feel like they can share that. And then guess what? Oh, you know what? I have a solution for your cash flow issues. And they're humble enough to want to help because they can connect with me.
So you lead by example.
Exactly.
You know, when you do this, you lead by example, and then others will open up, right? And share maybe their struggle, their challenges.
Right.
I always say when somebody comes in here and they say, I saw the problem, here's the solution. There's nothing I can learn from that except they're smart and I'm an idiot. They saw it and I figured out I couldn't. But when they get honest and real and say, but it wasn't easy, and here's how I did it, and here's the struggles, and here's some of the things, and maybe I can add to it. Well, I've had that same experience. Have you ever tried this? Have you ever done this? Pretty soon we're getting real.
Yes. That's it.
I found that after the pandemic and all the stress of it and we see it all, right? I mean, with the chamber, we see a lot of small businesses, mid-sized businesses, challenges that they face. Is I actually don't want to be around negative people anymore. I don't want to. It's like we all have our own issues and problems to deal with on a daily basis. So the fact that you're creating an environment where people can come and be vulnerable, that was the word Paul used earlier. I think that's great because everybody's coming to the table, even those on Zoom. You're coming to the meeting knowing that, hey, we're here to share.
Right.
And we're all going through this together.
Right.
The struggle, right?
And lucky for everyone else, when they come to this meeting with me, no one is going to be worse than me. So they're all comfortable sharing their stories.
Well, I think more importantly, you as a person, as a human being, show this side of you that is also vulnerable. And therefore, it makes them feel like, hey, he's not going to judge me, right? If he's this willing to open up about his struggles, then he's not going to judge me on my struggles, right?
Right.
Wouldn't you say? And I think this is why I love sharing the story about who you were growing up. That may go back to, that little boy who that woman put something in her pocket and you didn't want to embarrass her or didn't want to put her on the spot, but you just basically said, I'm going to charge you for it automatically, right? You found a solution to whatever that problem was. And I always like to look at the coin on the flip side. What if that lady who put that in her pocket couldn't afford it?
Right.
And what if that was for her little daughter who really wanted it, who was at home, right? From a financial standpoint, maybe they were struggling or something.
No, that's it.
You prevented from her being embarrassed or ashamed. You found a solution, right? So, you know, it goes back, I think, to who you are as a person. You're a compassionate, caring person. Wouldn't you say?
Thank you. I mean, I wouldn't say that, but thank you.
I think so. I think that probably comes
that,
from.
Is it
you know,
hard for men to be vulnerable? My dad was a big, rough, tough
absolutely.
bomber pilot, World War II guy. I never say sorry,
Wow,
never say
Paul,
love you.
Paul's opening up.
I'm opening up here.
See, Alex, it's working.
It's working.
Paul's opening up.
It is. It's true. My dad was a big, rough, tough guy. I knew he loved me, but he could hardly say it. And
Yeah.
you know, and
That was my dad. That was my dad.
And I just think that was the image of strength.
Yes.
John Wayne, suck it up. I don't think that's strong anymore. I think it's strong to be vulnerable, to open up and say, I don't have all the answers. I don't know everything. That's even harder.
But sometimes I think
I don't want to be a
it's
complainer and whine.
It's frowned
Yeah,
upon.
well.
Like if a man is vulnerable, it's like, oh, he's weak. Right?
Exactly.
I mean, what do you think, Alex?
I think
What
it's
would you
strength,
say?
though. I really see the strength.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a higher level of strength that Paul's talking about here,
Yes.
and really we see that in Jesus, right? Like Jesus didn't come with a cape like Superman. You know,
That's true.
He came on a donkey, you know, and
It's true.
but that's because he already knew. I mean, he doesn't have to prove to anyone, right? So it was more about helping others, and
Yeah.
if our goal is to help our clients and our communities, then we're already in a place where, okay, you know what? I'm good. I already know who I am. I know I have to struggle every day to get better, but I'm committed to that. Then from that place, all right, well, let's help other people do the same thing. And if I can show up and share a little bit about, you know, some negative things that I have, that struggles that I'm dealing with, and it's going to help someone, if that's the pathway, why not, right? It's going to help everyone.
Well, the American Dream Team is all about finding solutions for small businesses that are struggling. I mean, that's pretty amazing.
That's almost every small business owner right now.
Oh, yes.
Every small business.
Oh,
just
I
don't
agree
wanna admit it.
100%. I agree 100%. We had Dr. Lori Ochoa on our show last week. I think it was last week, the week before that. And that was something we talked about, how she's working with a lot of businesses from a behavioral psychology
A
standpoint.
mental health standpoint.
Yeah,
How
mental
do you keep
standpoint.
your head in the game?
Yeah,
here?
yeah, just, you know, because these are tough times, right, for small businesses. And so if you're a small business out there, if you're listening, or you're starting a business, or you're just going through tough times, how can they reach you, Alex? Where do they go? Can you share with us?
How do
I
they
know
join the
He has a
American
lot
Dream
of
Team?
followers on Instagram. I know that.
Yeah,
How do
I
they
think
join the team here?
I think Instagram is probably the easiest way to follow, at Alex Rocky Kim,
Yes,
And-
Alex Rocky Kim.
and at the AmericanDreamTeam.community.
That's the website.
That's the Instagram.
And the
Yeah,
Instagram. Okay.
handle.
You know what it reminds me of? Reminds me of the A team. The American Dream Team is the A team, right? And you're
There you
Mr.
go.
T or Mr. R or something there.
Well, listen, Alex, I really appreciate you coming on the show. I know 30 minutes goes by so fast. This was not what I expected, man. We got pretty deep here. Paul started sharing about his
Yeah.
life. I appreciate you sharing, obviously, your story.
Because when somebody opens up, others will follow.
Yes. Yeah.
Because we all want to get real and say, look, there's a reason we're all here. There's a reason we're at the chamber. There's a reason at these mixers. We're trying to meet and grow our businesses, trying to learn from others. And if we're not going to be open and honest, then we're not going to learn.
What advice would you give a small business out there struggling, Alex, before we close out? What would you say?
Right now, I would say just what Paul kind of alluded to. Open up and really look at the positive. Look for the solution. You'll see it. There's so many benefits right now if we can see what we have, and then start from there. Look at what you have, and then whatever, if it's a product or service, look at all the valuables that you have, and then let's figure out how to get that out to other people. And there's new ways. So connect with us. Connect with me. I'll help you. Connect with me. There you go.
Definitely connect with Alex Kim, a.k.a. Rocky, mortgage lender, HomeFirst Mortgage Lenders, American Dream Team.
Leader of the American Dream Team.
Yes, leader of the American Dream. Thank you so much for being on our
Thank you,
community podcast show. We really appreciate all you're doing, and thank you for always supporting our Hispanic Chamber of Commerce fundraisers and events. We really appreciate it, and We wish you all the best. Again, any small businesses watching or listening or viewing this video down the way, reach out to Alex. He's sure to help you guys. And with that, we will see you guys next week. And thank you so much, Alex.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Take it away, Mr. Paul Roberts.
Well, there you have it. Some real advice from people really going through the same things you are. There are places. The Orange County Hispanic Chamber is one of them, and apparently the American Dream Team is another one, where you can connect and share and learn from one another. Just like listening to these shows here on Orange County's only community radio station, OC Talk Radio, streaming live from our studios here at the University of California, Irvine's Beale Applied Innovation Center.